Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, pop culture podcast, like all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today, we are talking about the animes that got us into animes. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Burrow.
I'm Lance O'Neill.
And of course, before we dive into it, just want to thank you all for taking the time to listen, like, share, and subscribe on Nightcap Chat. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. I'm particularly excited for today's episode. This is an episode we've been talking about doing for a long time, and we have a guest that we've been talking about internally, asking to come on for a long time, and he is here. So we're going to talk about some animes. I think, Ken, right before we started this episode, you said you watched more anime this year than you ever had in your life, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I said too, as a kid, I guess I watched anime, didn't know it. Like Robotech, Voltron, Speed Racer.
Speed Racer. Yeah.
Yes. And I said too, like, it's mostly, I consider them cartoons, but I guess they are animes according to the genre of anime storytelling.
Absolutely. And I think we're all guilty of that. Like, I mean, Lance and I watched, I think, some Speed Racer before we even got into, any kinds of anime that we were aware were animes. Yeah,
Yeah, and Speed Racer was hard. It was hard because the dubbing was so bad back then. And then after they talked, it was like, what is going on right now?
And Teen Titans Go, I think they had a parody of that. Remember, like, it's like they're like barely moving, just a mouse, like, and then they run out of things to say, so they just like ho ho ho. But yeah, I mean, Speed Racer is fun. I mean, like, especially if like cars, like how do you not get into Speed Racer? But anyway, before I get you off the tracks here, Chuck Huber granted us an interview, and we'll be ending the episode with this really fun interview Lance and I did with him. Chuck's a great guy. He's done about over 200 projects, over 230, 270. He's really big in the anime world. He's voiced for My Hero Academia, Dragonball Z, Ghost in the Shell, and video games like Smite, Blood Rain. And I'm not even doing his, completed works justice. Like, I'm just coming up with things off the top of my head here. But Chuck's a great guy, great, good person, very genuine. So this interview is a lot of fun. So make sure you stay to the end to catch that. Well, before we get too far into animes and everything we're going to be talking about today, we are going to do a little, I don't know, we'll call it a competition. We're doing a competition. And so we're going to announce our picks on this competition next week. And if you want to play along with us or tell us, who you can pick one of us to not bet on, because gambling is illegal, right? But you pick who you think made the best choice. So we have this little competition going. This was Ken's idea. So Ken, I'm going to let you kind of explain what we're doing here.
There's been a huge uptick in comics growing out of control when it comes to values increasing drastically over the past 12 to 18 months. And of good, affordable stuff out there that has potential to see that growth.
Mm-hmm.
So we came up with an idea of, let's pick out a CGC 9.8 book could find for less than $100 and see which one sees the most growth from a month-to-month basis, a 3-month basis, a 6-month basis, a month basis, or a 12-month basis, however far we want to go with this, and see how well we are at picking one that has not really exploded yet, but's got potential to grow, and see how good we are at picking out books that are under the radar and seeing if they're going to jump up in value.
Yep. So the rules are the price of the book before tax, and if shipping is, if shipping's extra, that's fine. So it has to be under $100 or $100 bucks or under, $100 flat or under.
Yeah,
Yep.
the buying price we could do for $100 or less.
Okay, not
Because there's
excluding
sometimes
tax.
like there's taxes worked
Yeah.
in on the internet. There's shipping cost. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't. We're not figuring in our shipping cost or our tax cost into the $100.
So we'll maybe next week we'll pick. We'll probably do more than one. Maybe we'll do 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and then maybe we can recycle this, times 3, and then maybe see if we want to do like at a point of a year. We can play that part by ear. So yeah, this is a fun little thing. I think Ken and Lance have already made purchases. I'm about to pull the trigger on some, but this will be a fun little challenge. Some fun little something to talk about. See what we picked and why. But this is something that we will continue to talk about on next week's episode. So follow along with us because this is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm gonna laugh if we all pick the same comic.
Because that's what I'm thinking too. Like I'm trying to overthink this in a lot of ways. Because my first, one I accidentally bought a CBCS book, and that doesn't qualify, does it? Because it's not CGC.
Yeah, I guess we have to go CGC. Yeah.
And I thought like, oh, this is really cool. And I'm going, this is, I think, a good one. Then all of a sudden I looked at it after I purchased it. I realized, oh, this says CGC, but I looked at the picture and it's a CBCS. The guy just listed it as a CGC.
Oh, refund.
And so I immediately thought to myself, hey, this has got to be disqualified because that's breaking the rule of us saying it's a CGC book.
Yeah.
And so I was being like that obnoxious about it. So I said, oh, man, this is a cool book. And I could read off what it is if you want and see what you guys think about one of my picks here.
Not yet, because let me at least pull the trigger on mine, because just so we know everything is 100% fair, because maybe I don't want to cheat. I don't want to cheat. This is going to be so much fun.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty fun.
But this is already fun, and maybe we'll keep doing this, every once in a while with even more than just comics. Maybe we'll try some cards and stuff, and this will be fun. So stay tuned for all that. CGC competition goodness there. So animes, we've all watched animes, and you may not be into anime, and that's what we want this episode to be, is even though you might not have ever watched anime, maybe you're interested, because without spoiling anything, one thing Chuck Huber said in the interviews is like, there is an anime for everyone. Like the anime is not just one thing. It's not just something crazy, or weird, like there's genres and subgenres, maybe you like cars, there's an anime for that, like there's a, what's the commercial? Like there's a something for that. What am I getting at? You know what I mean? Like there's you guys have no idea.
I don't know what you're talking
there's
about.
There's a thing for that. No?
Staples? The Staples, there's a button? The button thing?
There's
like,
a button for that? I don't think that's what it is. There's an app for that. There's an app for that.
There's an app for
that. Okay, yeah. Oh, gosh, I wish you guys saw the blank stares I was getting just now.
I always tell my customer comics are like Netflix. There's something out there for everybody.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So similar type of spin on what you're saying there too.
Uh-huh. Comics is a great example of that. It's not just superheroes.
I think anime is just another style of what's out there. Like I think people just give it a bad rep and a bad stigma, and like just like a cartoon, like people watch cartoons. There's funny cartoons, there's action cartoons, or just regular TV shows. There's action, there's scary, there's things about cars. That's just what it is. And I just think people just need to like open up their mind. They'll be a little bit more open when it comes to animes. And I think you'll be surprised by, especially some of the newer stuff that's coming out. There's such better like acting and better dubbing that like you can appreciate and enjoy it a lot more today.
I just had an epiphany as you guys were saying that too, because I admit I get intimidated by jumping into an anime or a manga because they're so far along on a lot of them, some of them that I want to check out.
Yeah.
That like I love Akira because Akira is a 2-hour movie. I get through it, and I enjoy it. But there's so many things like that. So I'm so busy with comic books all the time.
Yeah.
That like customers come into my store all the time and they say, I want to read Spider-Man, but I don't know where to start.
Well,
And that's how I kind of feel with like animes and mangas. Like I want to read Berserk, but I don't think I'll ever get through it because it's over 80 volumes. Do you know what I mean? And they're to me they're thicker than regular comics too.
Yes.
So I think I get a little bit more intimidated. Same thing with the cartoons like Dragon Ball Z. I feel like I'll never catch up on watching all the Dragon Ball Z, but once I start, I'll get frustrated because I never finish it. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like I have to be really, really hook, line, and sinker right away. Like TV shows, the same thing too. It's like I want to get through Arrested Development, but I just don't think I ever will.
I think that's such a fascinating point, and I'm really, really glad you brought that up. And I think that's kind of the mentality that we have to overcome, because like I think it comes from like we're avid fans and collectors, right? That's why we're doing this podcast, you know? So like when we're into something, like we read all of the Spider-Man or all of the Deadpool, right? And like we want to do it all. But I think sometimes we have to just take a minute and step back. And when we want to try something new, like if we want to start Dragon Ball Z for the first time or read a manga for the first time, we have to remember it's okay if we decide we don't like it. We don't have to finish it. And that's like, that is absolutely okay, because best case scenario, we love it. And you have 250 episodes of Dragon Ball Z to get through still, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the mentality we have to have. You have to kind of change your thinking. Like, don't worry that there's so many. Be excited that if you love it, you have this many, and it's not going to be,
won't end anytime
close
soon
to the
for
end.
you.
I'm having the opposite problem with, I'll just go ahead and start with this. I keep bringing this up on Nightcap chat. I love this anime that just got poured on Netflix called The Way of the House Husband. There's 5 episodes that consist of like 5 mini episodes, maybe 6 mini episodes each. Part 2 will be coming out on Netflix, I think, later this year. But like, I mean, you can watch that in one night, but it's so funny. But I loved it so much, I ordered all the mangas. I ordered the first one, and I thought, it was kind of thick. It's thicker than a comic, so like the volume 1. I blew through it like in no time, like in one sitting, and that was the end. And I was like, oh my gosh. First of all, let me tell you this. If you're interested in maybe even reading the manga, watching the Netflix anime, it is like they took the manga and put it on the screen and just made it move, because they used that as a storyboard. It is pretty much word for word, and the exact drawings you see in the manga is exactly how it's playing on the screen. I had no idea. So that's why I blew through it so fast, because like, oh, I already saw all this. And now I ordered volumes 2 through 5, and I see volume 2 is still, there's just the same stuff that's on Netflix. So I'm going to blow through these really fast. And I got volume 6 pre-ordered. But Ken, you said you started it, right? What did you think of it? You can be honest. You won't hurt my feelings.
Part of it was absurd.
Oh,
Most of it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so over the top.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. I mean, just the fact of a ex-Yakuza member leaving the Yakuza and getting married, and, the wife's the one that's the breadwinner, and he always wants to make sure he keeps his wife happy. But then, like, when the other supporting characters start showing up, that's when it really starts cracking me up even more. Like, a guy recognizes him that used to be under him, I guess, like, was one of the lower member gang members. And he looks up to him like a mentor. Like imagine like you're a freshman and you idolize the senior that just is the badass of the school. And he goes on to do other things in his life, and you run into him and says, oh, dude, you're still whooping butt, and you're, like that. You must be like an all-star somewhere right now, or you must be doing something super, super high tech. What'd you do? Who'd you kill that you had to disappear and you can't be found? I found you, man. Do you want me to say anything? And
I'm a house husband.
Like, I'm a house husband. Life is good. It's just like, what? You're a house husband? What's up with that?
And then he starts like following her around, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, is the way of the Yakuza and the way of the house husband like 2 sides of the same coin? It's like, teach me your ways. And he teaches him how to like cook and stuff. And but like, it's absurd. It is.
I want to see the further they go, he starts his own Yakuza of house husbands. That would be hilarious, dude. You know what I mean?
There's one episode.
Domesticated Yakuza.
Yeah, it's genius because like he treats every like all these everyday situations, but it's like overly dramatic. Like he's still in like Yakuza mode, you know, like
It's not lost his edge at all.
yeah.
The night salesman was like fearing for his life, and everybody knows he's like a high-end Yakuza member, which cracks me up too. It's like
it's the immortal dragon.
Exactly. He just fell off the face of the earth, and nobody realizes that he's no longer Yakuza until they run into him. It's some of it's like it just cracks me up how they take themselves so seriously, yet it's so funny.
Like he'll go shopping and he's like, oh, 100 yen for a head of cabbage? Hell yeah. And he goes in, he's like, you sure know how to rob a guy, huh? And it's like, excuse me, sir? Like, oh, here's my points card. It's just like this tough, badass, but so this, to me, this kind of anime, it's a great start to anime because it's just lighthearted fun. You don't have.
Sounds like if you're into Archer, you'd be into.
Oh yes, 100%. It's almost say it. Yeah. That's a good comparison. I think it's just absurd humor. There's nothing stressful about it. It's just a good time. It's just silly. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think at this point I've watched the whole thing like 5 times now, all the way through.
I was thrown off by the guest appearance of the cats.
Yes, that throws you for a curveball. So where that comes in, because it's in the manga too. There's bonus things at the end. So like they'll show like this little cat adventure or something. But like the cat one's ridiculous. Yeah, all of a sudden it cuts to like what his little house cat's doing. He's like, hold down the fort for me while I'm gone. And then the cat like leaves the house and he goes. I don't want to spoil it, but it's just the absurd adventures of what this cat does, and it's ridiculous. I
think I'd be more into it for that.
Yeah. You should. Like it is.
But you'll love the cat things. The cat things crack me up, dude.
It's fantastic.
Like when the cat's at home by itself and do what it does when he's out doing shopping or doing whatever he's doing. It's just the episode of the cat against the apartment was just hilarious, dude.
Yes, Way of the House Husband. You can't go wrong. Like I said, so it's short, so there's not even much.
That's why I liked it.
Yeah, there's not even much to get into.
I got through it within like 2 days, and I was done. And it was only like what 16 episodes, 20 episodes.
Well, it's 5 episodes consisting of like 6 mini episodes, so it's roughly 30 episodes. But like the episodes are like 2 minutes each. So like if you're not hooked into it, like in like 2 to 5 minutes, I mean, just stop. Just stop right there. Not that you have too much further to go, but it's something that you'll know whether or not you're enjoying it like in minutes. So it's definitely worth it. I mean, if you just like comedy and absurdity, like you will dig it. And
I'm telling you, Blade, I would have not watched this if you didn't recommend how much you liked it.
Yes,
I'm totally like that.
Adamant.
It was not on my radar at all.
I'm adamant about it. I love it so much. Okay. What else we got? Because I can talk about this silly show all day.
I watched an anime. I think it was on Netflix. It's actually published by Square Enix, however you want to pronounce it. It's called Compulsive Gambler, but I mean it's called Kakegurui. I think if that's how you pronounce it, but it translates to Compulsive Gambler.
Okay, have it.
What you say?
Yeah, it's just an anime about like gambling. Like there's this like they go to like this whole like school that's just about gambling, and this guy and this girl, they're like storylines come together, and it's like she's like this crazy gambler. She will like literally put her life on the line on these like crazy odds and somehow like win, and it's just, and she'll always like rip apart all these people that are like masters at their like their own gambling game that they made that they know that should win, but they like they'll like maybe lose or they won't. But I don't know, it was just like a fun and interesting and different anime. So I think if you're like into gambling or stuff like that, you might find it.
Maybe
poker, stuff like that. You would be interested in this. It does have some like weird moments, but it's kind of almost makes sense. Sometimes the animes they'll do like some like weird like cutscene of like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing, and the thrill, and they get all these like, you're like, okay, what's going on? You know what I'm talking about?
I think I think Way of the House Husband did it, because in like one of the first episodes, there's a knife salesman and he's selling cheap knives, like ripping people off, and he rings the doorbell. This guy's like, oh, I'm selling knives. Like, well, can I try it out? And he's like, oh, this guy scares the you know what out of me. But then he takes the knives and he makes this meal and he gives it to him, and the salesman like eats it. And he just like pauses and he like starts crying. He's like, this reminds me of my childhood. Like the flavors and this, like he adds the fish paste and it makes it so soft. And he just like sits there and pauses like, what am I even doing here? It's so stupid. It's so funny.
There's stuff like that happens, but it's a little more like, oh, the thrill of gambling like just gets me so like, like it's just like, okay. But it's like for like a second and then it goes back to like being normal. Which I guess is just for like most animes. But besides like that, it's great. It's like interesting and fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I think if you're into like any type of gambling or
wagering,
yeah.
Have either of you guys watched My Hero Academia? Because people tell me that's kind of like the X-Men of animes.
Nope.
No, I haven't watched it. No, I always, and I can always hear whenever anyone mentions it, I always hear in my head, next on My Hero Academia, like right after Dragon Ball Z, like they would cut to tell you like what's going on, like coming up next, and it's just like it's all I ever hear in my voice whenever anyone mentions it is like that guy doing the commercial for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I could probably get into that show, but I don't know. Just as far as superheroes, like I like Marvel.
Another highly recommended anime that customers always tell me to check out is called One Piece.
Oh yeah. Chuck Huber also, I believe, is a character in One Piece as well.
I guess it's like a treasure hunt / pirate adventure, but it's in modern day.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. That's another one I haven't watched. But yeah, I mean those are popular.
One Piece. What the one thing, like certain things bother me about shows, and for me it's just the animation, well, not the animation, but just the art style. I can't get past the art style.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's like the same thing with what's that show that everyone, Rick and Morty. I can't get past the voices or the art style.
I was gonna say, it was like not the animation I don't care about. To me it's the voices, because like somebody like turned it on and I was like, I just want to punch the TV. Like, can we turn this off? Like, it was so annoying. I can't imagine willingly watching more than one episode of Rick and Morty. And if you like it, that's fine. I'm glad you enjoy it. So you liked Akira though? Like that's a why
Akira was, man, dude, that was awesome.
It's a very popular.
I don't know what it was, but like Akira, I don't know what it was, dude. It was just the story flowed so well from a beginning to an ending aspect of it. And it was just like the apocalyptic type of thing of it. The red motorcycle, that looked really cool. I mean, just there was some of it that was a little bit too fast paced during scenes.
Yeah.
But I understood like that's just, they're trying to show things are moving like a mile a minute.
Yeah.
But when things start spinning, or like like Jim Steranko covers back in the day where he would have like, it was like an art piece inside of an art piece. Like the Nick Fury covers, like where it looked like it was almost like a James Bond, like where the camera lens closes from like shot to shot. I don't know if I'm doing a good explanation here, but
so I Googled it. I see what you mean. There's kind of I see what you
like a psychedelicness to it, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Because
like
the ones I'm looking at are black and white.
Still,
yeah.
Doesn't bother me, but when the psychedelics start moving all over the place, it's like, oh man, it's like that. My eye just starts going like, what am I supposed to follow here? Yeah. And it's like, where is this going? And it just starts twisting up my stomach a little bit.
So for Akira, what kind of person do you think should try Akira? Like if you're into what? As I've been meaning to watch it, I haven't seen it. Like if you're a fan of like sci-fi, like is that the good match?
Like sci-fi, like
cyberpunk maybe? Is that?
I'm trying to think of like a good like Tron. I know that sounds kind of weird, but like that. Let me think of that. Maybe not so much Tron, because Tron's more like a game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, like Mad Max
Or
like
Blade Runner?
apocalyptic Blade Runner. Yeah, maybe I could see on it too as well. Trying to think of a good comparison to like a mainstream movie that it would match up with, like a just like an apocalyptic.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
you know,
interesting.
it's like that race for the survival of Earth
Mhm.
type of thing. Like, but I can't think of a very good comparison right now to it, but just it was when I saw it, I remembered I kind of like enjoyed it. I was going, wow, this is actually better than I expected to be. Because as I said too, like I'm not the biggest anime manga fan, and I'm trying to get more into it.
Mhm.
But the gateways, I need to find like the right gateways of the things I really enjoy. And I'm sure it's just like comics. It's just like you got to find the
Yeah.
right ones, as you said, that
100%.
just fit your
100%.
enjoyment levels.
And if you like Akira, like I haven't watched it, but like I know of it, like I'm aware of it,
Like
and
it.
kind of. I think if you like Akira too, I think you might dig Ghost in a Shell. That's
Okay.
it's a good
Forget about
anime,
that, too.
really popular. It's kind of like a future sci-fi. You know, like if something happens to you, like they can like replace your limbs or your body. You know, kind of a deal. And it even goes like a little deeper into that. But Ghost in the Shell is really good. I loved it. It was on my radar for a long time, and I finally got around to watching it. And I haven't watched like the second or the third. I'm trying to remember now if it's like a series or not. But like there's more than just the one. It's like there's something to be had. You know, it's not just a one and done thing. But Ghost in the Shell, especially like sci-fi, you know, robots, futuristic stuff. It's fun, and it's a good story. The animation's cool. The aesthetics are cool. And I mean, maybe this is not a popular opinion, but they did a live action adaptation of it with Scarlett Johansson, and I thought that one was pretty fun too. I mean, like they changed some things, and it was mildly annoying, but it was still fun. I mean, just gotta have like an open mind, you know, like it's just a popcorn flick, you know, no big deal. It was just fun to see that. Oh yeah, Ghost in the Shell. What else we got?
I have one that's like, I don't know how to describe it as far as like comparing it to other movies. But I guess if you want something that's a little more serious and a little like sad, then you should watch Violet Evergarden. So it's about it's about this chick. She's like
Evergarden?
she's like part like robot, I guess. And she is like trying to like reintegrate herself back into like society after dealing with a war. And she's searching for like a purpose. And she's trying to understand like her mentor and like what he meant with what he said to her, like before, I guess, like he died and like she was left on the battlefield by herself, whatever. But it's just like it's kind of sad. Like obviously that sounds like sad, right? I mean, but it's a good show, and it's like has great animation, and it's one of those animations that are like it's beautiful, like the imagery, like everything's beautiful about it. And she's a badass, and it's kind of cool to see some of the fight scenes when they do like flashbacks of the war and stuff. It's a really good show, and definitely something I think. Yes, I think so. Yeah, Netflix. Yeah.
And sorry if you guys hear that. I think my neighbors are letting off fireworks.
Mine are too. Oh, we're so close to each
yes,
other.
Yes, you're 2 blocks away. it's the people in between us. Why are we virtually recording?
I can't hear it, which is good.
Okay, good. My microphone is got a pretty low noise floor. You got anything next, Ken?
It's like, well, it sounds like I need to go to the Netflix anime section and just start watching some good stuff. 'Cause it sounds like there's a lot of good stuff on there.
you watch Big O?
I did like Big O.
And you like that,
It
right?
reminded me a lot of Batman with a robot.
Oh yeah, totally. Like James Bond. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like that. He had like his cave in the middle of, I can't remember what city it was that was under a bubble, right?
Yeah.
And like that, he had
Like
a giant
Judge Dredd
robot
or
who would go out to
Uh-huh.
protect the cities under the bubble.
But you also liked Voltron,
Big O.
so you had
Yes.
that appeal, right? The kind of
Yes,
the
absolutely.
giant robot, right?
Yeah, I'm cool with robots. I mean, if it's a robot show, I'll give it a shot. Like Gundam, I don't mind. Like I'll check out Gundam every once in a while.
Gundam was cool.
I said too, Robotech. I love Robotech's animation because it reminds me of the Voltron animation.
Yeah.
And like same thing with Robotech too. I loved watching what I did watch of Robotech, but I felt like I didn't start at the beginning, and so I was kind of not invested into where it was going because I didn't go to watch it from the start. So if I watched Robotech from the start, I'd probably appreciate it even that much more.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time of like coming into anything, whether it's a TV show, a movie, or a cartoon, or a book, you know, and trying to say, "Hey, dude, start on chapter 14 and read forward."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
No,
I'm
I
not
hear
invested.
you.
Yeah.
You know, anime that's great that has robots? Dragon Ball Z.
So Dragon Ball Z's got a lot of robots?
No, there's not a lot. There's just there's androids in it, you know, and
Okay.
Well,
start watching Dragon Ball Z if we get robots.
So before we, I feel like we're going to spend some time on Dragon Ball Z, but we're in this realm of Toonami shows, because I think Dragon Ball Z turned us on to a few other things like Sailor Moon. I love Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is fantastic. If you're going to watch Sailor Moon, there was a, you know, an 80s, 90s version, but fairly recently, let's say, they redid it. So there's a anime out there called Sailor Moon Crystal, and you can watch it on Hulu. It's on Hulu right now. It's a closer adaptation of the manga comics. Sailor Moon's another one where if you're into superheroes, I think you would enjoy it. You know, I mean, Sailor Moon, they're all girls, you know, but I think it has appeal. I think it's mostly directed toward girls, you know, as an anime. But like, I find like the appeal isn't just like it's for anyone, you know. I mean, that's with anything though, right? It's a lot of fun. There's romance, you know, there's fighting the bad guy, you know, getting the crystal, saving the world, you know, just, you know, villain of the day kind of stuff. But it's fun, you know, it's fun. Also on Toonami was, and I don't know if you saw it, Lance. I know we watched it. But there's only one season of it, and I guess that's because I just looked it up. The anime called Outlaw Star. Do you remember that? Outlaw Star. Remember there's a cat girl. Okay, I'll tell you what you do remember is there's one of their ads, like one of the bumpers. And it's like, oh, the girl's like, oh, it's like a video game. It's like, just remember, there's no reset button on this game. You know, because they're in a ship and like they're at the guns. No, you don't remember that?
I don't remember.
Or there's a whole episode where like there's this ice cream vendor and he's got this like little cactus plant behind him, and there's a competing ice cream vendor, right? And like so they split up and they come back or something like that. And it's like, oh, we just ate crappy ice cream. It's like, why did you eat crappy ice cream? But this cactus was hypnotizing everyone to buy the guy's crappy ice cream. And so there's this whole thing with this
ice cream. I've never heard of bad ice cream before. That's amazing. That's a plot.
What's the name of it?
Outlaw Star. As soon as you look it up, you'll recognize it.
Said nobody except that cartoon. That's amazing.
It's fun.
Genius though, to find something that everybody loves.
Oh, you okay?
To find something that everybody loves and then turn it into a trope. That's awesome. I hate ice cream. What? This ice cream's got to be horrible. I'm sorry, I almost choked about how
yeah, are you okay?
I'm sorry, dude.
Ken is choking. Do you?
That was hilarious. I apologize.
Do you remember?
I kind of remember.
Yeah. I rewatched it fairly recently. It wasn't as
Did
good.
we watch it?
Yeah, we used to do it all the time.
There's no way I watched that. I
No,
don't.
we
remember,
did.
I, don't remember, I barely
We did.
remember the commercials.
We did watch it.
Well,
I watched
it's not
it.
been memorable. Maybe you watched it by yourself. I was outside.
It's not.
playing
It's not the best. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. Like as far as like, if you like the first couple episodes, like I would definitely write it out. Because I was arguing with my wife. What?
I love Lance's response. Maybe you're watching while I was outside playing baseball. That's epic. Sorry, dude.
Well, we would. I mean, we were young, so I mean, like if we were playing outside, we were playing outside, But we recently rewatched it, my wife and I, because she got me into Cowboy Bebop, which also has one season and one movie. Phenomenal. And I was telling her, like, no, Outlaw Star is better. Like, I used to watch that back in the day. So we sat down and watched it, and it wasn't as good as Cowboy Bebop. I have to admit, like, it wasn't as good. Cowboy Bebop is definitely one of the best animes I have ever watched. There's only one season. It's space adventure, like they're bounty hunters, kind of future, people don't live on Earth, they live in space, but like Earth is still in play. They're bounty hunters. The story is sad, it's almost like its own genre, like it transcends genres. And I mean that. Like I understand the weight that carries, but it's a space adventure. If you like like Star Wars / Indiana Jones / The Mandalorian, maybe. Oh man, like this is hard, but like, oh man, it's good. It is good. Steve Bloom, in the English dub, plays the main character. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. There's this little hacker girl that they pick up. Her name is Ed, and she's just so whacked out. She's a phenomenal character. And they also end up with this corgi named Einstein. They call the corgi, and it's just iconic. Fantastic anime. Cannot recommend it enough. Even if you're remotely into sci-fi, like that's probably one of the best animes you'll ever watch.
It's on my notes. I started and underlined it, so it sounds like
it's phenomenal.
Recommended so far from what I'm hearing so far. Here.
It is so good. If I had to pick, a top 3, it would definitely be on there for like if you want to get into anime. Like this is something that should resonate with, I think, almost anyone. It is just good storytelling too,
because I have heard people talk about Cowboy Bebop off and on for the past 20 years, so it's got to be something to hear it talked about that often.
Yeah, it transcends genres. I mean, I would say even after all of this, even after this episode, if you explored anime and didn't like anime, I think Cowboy Bebop is still something you would enjoy. I'm putting my chips in the Cowboy Bebop bet.
Like the Kakajuri anime we talked about earlier, this is a good bet for an anime to watch.
The what?
Right, Lance? Like, what's it called? Like Kakajuri? Is that the one you're talking about? The one that is the gambler?
Sorry if we're all butchering
off of
this.
whatever it says. Yeah, I have no idea.
The gambler.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But the Kakegur or Juri, right?
I think Guri. I think
Guri. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the two. These are the 2 A and B animes I think I'm going to watch after this conversation.
I love it.
So far.
I love it. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to cut to the interview with Chuck Huber here in a little bit, but we have 2 more animes that I want to make sure we bring up. First one, Ken, you're trying to turn us on to this Initial D, right? I mean, tell us a little bit about that and why people should watch that.
Well, Initial D is it's got that whole anime formula of comedy and seriousness and drama in the same type of thing. I mean, it fits the anime, how would you say it, formula to a T. It's like, with me, one of my coworkers, AC, who we need to bring on the show, is an anime manga discusser, or everything that's Anime, manga, robots. Oh my gosh, dude. AC knows this stuff.
Yeah.
He's not only knowledgeable, he's entertaining too. So I think it would be awesome to have AC on sometime to talk to us about this stuff. I'm sure he'd give us tons of recommendations of things to check into. So a huge shout out to AC there for his anime, manga, robot knowledge is pretty impressive.
And where does he work?
He introduced me. He works at the store.
Drona Comics on the corner of 58th Avenue in Glendale.
Yes, that is it. Drona Comics, located in downtown Glendale, 5801 West Glendale Avenue. And that's Glendale, Arizona, not California.
Yes,
85301.
Or Glendale, New York.
Or Glendale, New York.
Oh gosh,
Glendale,
yes, that's right. We went to school in Glendale, New York, so it was a trip to see Glendale out here as well.
So who's Mr. Glendale?
What was? Well, I just gotta say this. What's crazy is, so me and my dad are driving through Glendale.
Hey, I was.
You weren't
there.
in the car.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. I was in the front seat. You were in the back seat.
Okay.
Yes, because
anyway.
I know exactly what you were saying because I was there.
We're driving through Glendale, Arizona, not Glendale, New York, and we pull up onto, what was the name of the street plate?
Myrtle.
Oh, Myrtle. Yes.
Myrtle Avenue, right? And we're sitting there, we're at the light, and we look on the corner of Myrtle Avenue. There's this school called St. John's. It's a church. It's a church, but there's a school there too, I think, right?
No.
Anyway, whatever. It's called St. John's Lutheran Church, right? Just so everyone knows, what's crazy about that is there's a school and a church in Glendale, New York, on Myrtle Avenue called St. John's Lutheran Church.
Yep.
It was the weirdest thing. It was like, how is this also in Glendale, in another state, on a road also called Myrtle Avenue? It was just like,
it was a Twilight Zone moment.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like, there's no way this is like actually happening.
Really?
Do we need to go to Glendale, California now and find a Myrtle Avenue?
see if there's a St.
John church there too. This is like the Twilight Zone for sure.
I recently found out that school went out of business. I don't know if the church is still there. So if you look it up now, it may no longer be true. But at the time, it was a trip. But yeah, it was weird. Anyway, Initial D.
Okay. So I'm sure I don't know if you guys have listened to the show before, and if you do, thanks for listening. And if you haven't, for the first time, you probably will hear multiple times and on previous times that I tend to like anything that has to do with cars as the main characters. Mm-hmm. Whether it's be the Disney movie Cars, whether it be Smokey and the Bandit, whether it be Knight Rider, whether it be Turbo Teen, whether it be Initial D. If cars are involved with the storytelling, you probably got me interested and piqued. Fast and the Furious, whatever it is, Initial D is that anime for the automobile lover, but it's also got the whole comedy tropes of this mystery driver that is out in the community that is participating with these car races that go through the outskirts of Tokyo, and it's just like a club of car racers. And so if you like things like Fast and the Furious, you're gonna love this because it's got that same trope to it, but more like Tokyo Drift type of vibe to it. You know, because Tokyo Drift is the perfect Fast and the Furious movie to compare to Initial D, yet not as much animosity. These guys really just are competitive and cool with each other. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like violent drama, or do you know what I mean? Sometimes they'll have I guess obviously a dilemma to deal with, but nothing to the point of where it's a code of honor to be a part of these race groups. And I was pretty impressed because I thought, American storytelling's always conflicting. This is like a mutual respect of like a challenge to have the honor of being the best racer in the community there. And it's really fun to watch. I mean, it's got the comedy tropes of one of the racers, the guy that's like, I don't want to spoil anything, but one of the mystery racers is a pizza delivery person too. So that's why he knows the track so well.
Okay.
It's because he's delivering pizzas all around, and he knows the area so well that he knows where every curve's at, every twist, every, shortcut. He's the dominating racer. And once again, spoiler alert, I apologize, but that's one of your main mystery characters. Is why is he so good? Is because he delivers pizzas all the time. So that's kind of like going back to our last episode for the people that listen. I think that's a great.
Pizza.
Is that true, Lance? Like,
yes.
do you know shortcuts of everywhere in New York from delivering pizzas?
Dude, from when I was delivering pizzas, like in the beginning, it was like I had to use my GPS for like for everything, because like people would give weird addresses and who knows what apartment building it is and whatever, right? But I did that for like 3 years, and dude, if there was ever traffic anywhere where I lived, I knew like every little back alley. Like I would get through it like nothing. Like roads that people didn't even know existed. Like my car was probably like the only car to go through it that week was my car. And like, I was just hitting them and I know exactly where it would lead to. Maybe some that weren't actually technically roads, but hey, it was my car fit there. It was, so that's like kind of cool. Like that actually kind of like hooked me a little bit. It was like, man, like I feel like if someone wanted to race me and like, you know, obviously I want to abide by the laws, but if there's no laws, like I would definitely win.
Like in a completely hypothetical situation where there was nothing illegal.
Right. I would definitely be up there and win it.
I think that's what I love about that. It takes like things that people can relate to and puts it into an anime that's just, it doesn't need to be there, but it's great that it's there. Do you know what I mean? It's I think that's why I really got hooked on this, is like it's fun to watch, and for more reasons than just watching people be competitive car racers.
And Chuck Huber, his character, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, I think it's Yuichi Tachibana. That's who he plays in.
You said his first name right, at least I know.
I only knew I said the last name right, so I think I got it then. Because Tachibana, in the Yakuza games that I've been blowing through, there's a character, his name is Tachibana. So I know I got that one. It's Tachibana.
Another fun thing I remember about it too that kind of got me fascinated with it too is that there's the car clubs are almost like the jock cliques inside the show. Yeah. Like there's one guy that is, do you know what I mean? Like he's kind of the new guy inside of the car club of everybody, and he's like trying to get his buddy, like his friends, kind of like, oh man, dude, Invincible. You know, did you watch the Invincible cartoon yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, I'm trying to think of a good example like that where there's the main character and then the annoying sidekick that just wants to be part of everything that's going on and try to get his buddy to join in to do like whatever he thinks is like, oh man, this is cool. We got to hang out with these people.
Like in Incredibles.
Cool, I guess, but like
or
that,
like
it's
Robin.
like, you know, the what?
Like making fun of Robin.
But like this, like that, you know, it's like there's one kid that doesn't care about being cool, and then the other kid that wants to be super cool, and every opportunity he has to be cool, he tries dragging his friend in to join him along to join with the cool thing that they want. The other,
it's like a trope.
The one that wants to be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so the two main characters, like one of them at the start of the show is like that, oh dude, he's invited us to go on the car to the car races. Oh my gosh, we gotta go. And it's almost like being invited to a high school party.
Yeah.
When you're, you know, when you're a high school kid, of like that, dude, we got to go. All the hot girls are going to be there. And it's like, but the thing that instead of it to being the hot girls, the cars are what's hot in the cartoon.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny little, like, the cars are the hot girls in the cartoon.
Yeah. Okay. I can dig it. I've got it. It's on my radar on Hulu. You can watch that on Hulu now, but I want to at least watch a few episodes so we can maybe talk about a little more on Nightcap chat. And before we cut to the interview with Chuck Huber, there's one more really big anime. We've already mentioned it. And it's a great starter anime. I believe it was the first anime that Lance and I watched as far as being aware of it being an anime.
If you're not counting Pokemon?
Yes, not counting Pokemon and Speed Racer.
Yeah.
You know.
Then I would say
yeah, Dragonball Z. Dragonball Z, man, I love Dragon Ball Z. I have a ton of Dragon Ball Z pops over here. You know, I've got my Android 17, 18 action figures. Dragon Ball Z, it's easy. You know, it's nothing too deep. if you like action, it's easy to get into. I guess one of my disclaimers is it can be dragged out.
100%.
They really drag it out.
I also, so to play devil's advocate, I think it's dragged out. Going back and rewatching it, yeah. When I was a kid, it didn't feel that way.
Yeah,
it was just fun and exciting, right? Yeah. It was more of like, oh my gosh, this is like, it's like building and building, like the suspense just keeps going higher and higher and higher, and then you'll get it next episode. And sometimes when you're watching it now, like as an adult, it's like, okay, we could have had like a little more happen in the last 10 minutes, kind of a thing. But I also think it plays into it too, to show you how intense it is. You know what I mean? Like the fact that like the whole entire episode could be an entire like fight, and the fight's not even finished, is kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like wow, that's a crazy intense fight. You watch 22 minutes of an episode, and they were just going at it and scrapping and like talking smack, and it was just like, to me, that's like awesome. But I also think it's just like, if you're into action or into like superhero movies and stuff like that, that's just like really action packed, then you're gonna like love Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
and there's lots of character. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of character development. I mean, I love so many characters in the show. Like Gohan, I loved him as a kid, and Blade, I know you loved Android 17, and like how the characters developed and changed throughout the years it was just awesome to watch.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I just wanted to disclaim that because I tried to get my wife into it, and it's just like, and she couldn't keep up because of like how we were dragging out, everything. So I think it may be one where you might have to pick a few episodes to see if it kind of tickles your fancy a little bit before you dive into it. And definitely start with Dragon Ball Z. Don't start with Dragon Ball, which is the prequel series, because I don't know. In my humble opinion, I don't think Dragon Ball to me is more interesting once you're vested and like you're more curious about, okay, how did Goku get here? Because I don't think Dragon Ball is as good as Dragon Ball Z. I think you got to start with Dragon Ball Z.
It's like the Hobbit of the series, right? You know what I mean? Like, like you're not going to read the Hobbit and be like, oh wow, this is great. But like, if you read Lord of the Rings and then you go read the Hobbit, you can appreciate.
The like, Hobbit that's cool. That's where Bilbo got the ring. Okay, that makes sense. That's a fun little adventure. Yeah, and I'm not saying anything bad about Dragon Ball. I'm just saying it's gonna be easier to digest, I think, if you're at least into Dragon Ball Z. Maybe start with one of the movies, just a random one of the Dragon Ball Z movies. Maybe not a random one. Maybe a specific one. Because
Frieza.
Is there a Frieza Dragon Ball Z movie? There's two cooler movies, which is Frieza's brother. But there's like Tree of Life, which is one of the early Dragon Ball Z movies, and there's Garlic Jr. There's a Garlic Jr. movie. I think it was called The Dead Zone. Garlic Jr. is also another character voiced by Chuck Huber. So Chuck Huber, he voices Android 17, which is one of the big bads in Dragon Ball Z. Garlic Jr. is another one of the bad guys. And Emperor Pilaf is also voiced by Chuck Huber. He voices Pilaf.
And Kibito.
And Kibito, yes, and Kibito. And he's
I got a question.
Yeah.
Where's the most easy to access outlet for starting Dragon Ball?
Yeah, they're all on
Funimation, right?
Funimation?
Yeah, so there's a Funimation app. They're all on there, but I thought they were just all... Didn't they just load Super on Hulu?
Did they?
Super's on Hulu or Netflix right now, because I was like, oh, I'm going to watch this.
So for those of you guys like going, I kind of like it. It's dragged out. There is lists of like filler episodes too that you can just skip. So you can go through the list and watch the episodes and not deal with some of the fillers. Also, if you are kind of into it, but again, it drags out, Dragon Ball Super is Dragon Ball Z, but there's a lot less like it's not dragged out really at all. It's always like there's something going on. There's no like, oh, I'm powering up for an entire episode. Like it's they kind of cut that. And I think they kind of like got the feedback like, hey, let's make this a little more interactive the whole way. And it's great. I mean, I loved Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and I went back and rewatched it with my wife because we watched the entire and we didn't skip. We didn't just only we didn't skip the filler episodes. Like we watched all like 300 whatever episodes it was of Dragon Ball Z together, and then we watched Dragon Ball Super. And I love Dragon Ball Z. From Cell Saga to the Majin Buu saga and the Android saga is phenomenal. That whole storyline is amazing.
Yeah, and that's what I like, and that's like the middle toward the end. So like it is one that like it gets better and better and better, because you start off with like Raditz and the Saiyan saga, but like once you start getting into the Frieza saga, I think that's when it really finds its stride, and that's where I picked up Dragon Balls. If that means anything to the listeners, we got into it during the Frieza saga. And Frieza was my favorite character at first. I was like, oh, God, I like bad guys though. Like, oh, he's just, everyone's scared of him. He's getting the Dragon Balls on Namek, and all that. And this isn't even my final form, which is like a meme now, right?
Yeah.
But like, everyone was terrified of Frieza, and I think that's what attracted me to Android 17 as my favorite character. Cause like after all this stuff with Frieza and Saiyans and Super Saiyans and everything, and we get past that, Frieza, comes back and some stuff happens, but there's some, okay, I'm gonna have to say some spoilers, skip ahead, like keep skipping ahead like 30 seconds for like, I don't know, give me like 2 minutes here. But after they get through Frieza and he's defeated, like, hey, there's some androids coming. And after they kind of toss Frieza aside, like they're going to like kill everybody. So you're talking about like, if you love comic books, the whole thing with the androids and Trunks really reminds me of Days of Future Past, because a time traveler comes and like, hey, he kills everybody and they like pretty much destroy the world. Like we got to stop the androids. So like there's this whole thing like building up with the androids coming. And so like by the time you get to Android 17 and 18, it's like, wow, these are the guys who are here just to kill everybody and ruin everything, So I think that like, that's what made Android 17, my favorite character. It was just him and his sister, versus the world. Like I feel like they were never asked to be turned into androids, but here they are. And, and in that same regard, figure out when's the best time to stop. If you get into it, there's a movie called The History of Trunks. And it takes place in this alternate future where the androids do destroy everything, and why Trunks has to travel back in time to stop them. So it is like Days of Future Past, because there's a whole movie where they show, because they don't show it in Dragon Ball Z. Like they skip that part. All you see is the time traveler. You got to stop and watch that movie. Because Lance, how many times did we watch The History of Trunks?
Yeah, and I don't want to say anything about Dragon Ball. I'll just keep my mouth shut. It's fine. I would say something about Dragon Ball Super, but it's fine. Because you haven't even watched it. So.
I know I haven't. But History of Trunks though that's probably one of the best.
Great.
One of the best Dragon Ball Z movies there is. And you like comics, you like action. I mean, like this is the Days of Future Past of anime right here. Like that's what it is. And of course, on the last episode, that's what turned me on to Converse was Android 17's shoes. And I said that to Chuck Huber, didn't I? In the interview
you did.
We already recorded the interview. Recording this episode afterward. So that was kind of fun. But it's fun stuff. And any other comments on Dragon Ball Z? Anything else anyone wants to say?
Like, what's your top 3 Dragon Ball Z characters?
Android 17, Frieza, Vegeta.
Do you want to know mine?
Mm-hmm.
Vegeta.
Okay.
Videl.
What?
Gohan.
Why is Gohan number 3? Is it because of the Great Saiyaman saga?
After the Cell saga, he ruined his character. Even in Dragon Ball Super, they never redeemed it. And Videl, they didn't really do a good job with her in Super, but I loved her in Dragon Ball Z. I wish she was like the best. She's awesome.
Yeah. I can dig it. Anyway, Ken, if you ever got into Dragon Ball Z, I think I would pick a few episodes. Like, if you like this, start over, and if you didn't, then that's fine. It's okay if you didn't like it.
Well, I just wonder, like, if I can keep up with the story, dude, I love watching it because it sounds like you're talking about things I enjoy. Obviously, Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite X-Men stories on it.
Yeah.
And it sounds a little bit like Invincible in a way too, where there's the androids are a threatening force coming to Earth to destroy it.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit like what Omni-Man, his people are coming to do. He's prepping Earth for his people to come.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Invincible spoiler alert for all those people that have not watched Invincible yet.
It's okay, I'll forget.
There's a race of aliens that are coming to take over the planet because we are easy prey compared to this other species. Imagine Superman, the Kryptonians, not having the planet blow up, but all of a sudden we're just going to go take out planets that are weaker than us.
Oh, man.
And that's pretty much the plot of what's happening in Invincible.
Dude, you just, I mean, obviously I've thought of this connection before, but that's another great point is Goku he's very much a Superman character because he's a Saiyan, which is an alien from another planet. His planet gets blown up and he's sent to Earth. And like you find out it's Frieza who destroyed the planet. That's why Frieza is one of the big bads here. But it's a very similar concept. So like you only have a handful of these Saiyans who survived the destruction of their planet. So like, yeah, if you're into comics, like you'll definitely see, there's definitely things about Dragon Ball Z that you'll really dig, you know?
Yeah, so too, I was going to put it on my queue of things to watch now.
Definitely. All right. So, you heard what we talked about with some animes. This is our interview with Chuck Huber. He's the voice of Android 17, Garlic Jr., Pilaf, and was it Kabito? Kabito in Dragon Ball Z. He's in Initial D. He's in some of the later Ghost in the Shell series that we've brought up. He's really known for My Hero Academia as well. He's voiced countless animes, a ton of video games. He's a phenomenal voice actor, writer, producer, director, and just a great person. I was able to take a voiceover class or two voiceover classes that he teaches, and he's great to listen to. I've learned so much from him. And here is our interview with Chuck Huber after this little musical segue. Joining us in the virtual Nightcap chat studio, we have Chuck Huber. Chuck, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
So I think I've mentioned it at least a few times. I took a VO masterclass that Chuck teaches online on Zoom, and that's where we are right now. Wonderful teacher. I grew up doing acting. I've taken several acting classes. I got a lot out of it, especially what I call like life lessons, and there's things that I use every day. There's a breathing thing that I love. I won't spoil it, but it really helps me with my anxiety. Anyway, not to blow all the smoke, but that's how I first met Chuck Huber. And so
I'm proud of the work we do in class. I'm proud of the work we do in class. All the students put in a lot of work. So it is something you should be proud of. It's not for everyone. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense, but it's good results usually.
Do you have like the next date set that you maybe want to plug real quick?
Yeah. July. The June class is filled. I think I got a July class starting to fill up or starting to, I haven't even promoted it yet. Okay. Yeah, there'll be one in July.
Well, if anyone's interested in getting into voiceover, definitely highly recommend that. So Chuck agreed to be on this episode. We're talking about animation on this episode, and Chuck Huber, he was on a couple of things we're talking about on this episode. First one I just want to briefly touch on was Dragon Ball Z. One of the best characters, in my humble opinion, was Android 17. And I never got to say this in class because I kept it all business. Android 17 is my favorite Dragon Ball Z character. Okay.
That's awesome.
I don't know how often you get that for Dragon Ball Z, but Android 17 is my favorite Dragon Ball Z character.
Yeah, he's a very beloved character. There's you have a lot of people in your club.
All right. Right.
He's my favorite character too. I mean, he's the one who has brought me the most success, the most notoriety, got me in contact with the most of you crazy people in the fandom. So yeah, he's top shelf. Hiei right behind him for sure, and Dr. Stein.
Yeah, definitely. And I see Lance smiling. I mean, he knows. I mean, he's my brother. We grew up together. He knows.
Yeah, he adored Android 17, drawing him all the time when we were kids and everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a little embarrassing. And actually,
come on.
On your math book, do you have Android 17 drawn on your math book?
Gosh. I mean, how long ago was that now? I don't even remember.
I mean, come on, it was like 6th grade, like.
Yeah. I mean, it was still a long time ago.
It was, yeah.
He's a good character. He came in. He was a lot of fun. He was terrifying because he just didn't care.
Yeah,
he was just bored.
Was there like a specific like inspiration when you were like trying to think of like a voice to come up with for him? Or
I mean, I had a bunch of ideas that I thought I was going to do, and Sabat was like, "No, man, no, just don't do anything, just relax." And I was like, "Okay, I'm Android." He's like, "No, man, seriously, just like don't do anything, just be dead inside." And I was like,
"Yeah,
I'm Android 17." He's like, "Perfect."
That's
awesome. I always said it was my easiest character because I just come in and say the lines, right. and then it wasn't until Dragon Ball Super that he started even making fight noises. Mm-hmm. So all these other people are killing themselves.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
And Android 17's like just punching a million miles a second, and he's just not making any noise.
Absolutely.
And we'd listen in the Japanese. We'd like, nope. There's no noises. That's all elements. That's all effects.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I'd be like, all right, I won't scream. I won't yell. It was only in Super just that he started to have some.
It's like blowing my mind because like having, watched it, I didn't even realize it. So now I'm gonna have to like rewatch Super to like notice it. That's crazy.
Yeah. He makes more fighting noises in Super. In DBZ, he maybe had a couple of like, but barely anything. And if there was anything, it was always very chill. So I never had to make myself pass out in the booth or anything.
Something on last episode, and I think you'd appreciate this. We called an episode about nothing. Like we titled the episode "Much Ado About Nothing," but most of the episode we did end up talking about shoes. And Android 17 came up because like I was never into shoes, especially as a kid. But when I got into Android 17. The shoes he was wearing looked like Converse, and I always wanted Converse, and like that was one of the highlights of the episode for me. But anyway, I just thought that was a little fun thing to touch on. I was scrolling through your IMDb, and I did a deep dive, went all the way through, and our other co-host Ken, who owns Drawn Comics in Glendale, Arizona, he got into this anime, and I'd never heard of it before. But he loves cars. So like this is what hooked him to it. And he's trying to get us to watch it, and we're going to sit down and do an episode about it. But you did some episodes of this anime called Initial D.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched it, but I mean, like what was that like?
Well, I got to play I was kind of the older gentleman of the actors, so I became first to be put in the sort of father teacher roles. And he's the gas station of the shop owner, and so that's where all the kids come to work on their cars, and he would guide them. I can't remember his name. Fans will be horrified. I've done over. Wait, Yuichi. I think it's Yuichi. And I've done a lot of roles, so I can't keep them all straight. But Initial D is fun. Initial D is one of those ones where I say. Because parents will be like, my children like anime. What do I do? I'm like, well, what do you like? And they're like, some of the dads will be like, I like cars. And I'm like, you should watch Initial D. Like there's always an anime for somebody out there.
Yeah.
True.
You just have to 100%. Keep searching till you find the one where you're like, well, I really like swimming. And you're like, well, then you're going to like free, or like, I love volleyball, or, there's always some place for, I love, Middle Ages trade, and it's like, oh, all right, there's an anime for you because you like economic. Yeah, there's something for everybody.
Yeah,
in anime, for sure.
Yeah, I don't watch as much anime as I would like to, but I'm definitely trying to spread out my my palette a little more. So, Nightcap Chat is a pop culture podcast. We talk about comics, video games, movies, TV shows. Chuck is a wonderful pop culture icon himself.
I can't believe that. That's weird.
It is weird, isn't it?
It is weird.
But even what I think is interesting is when we figure out what kind of pop culture you're into, because I think that's something that brings us all together. Like, I want Nightcap Chat to be a positive thing for everyone to listen to, leave the stresses of the world, have a nightcap, at the end of the night, and just, not be stressed out, unwind.
Not be stressed by life, because life could be a little stressful.
Yes. So that's what I want Nightcap Chat to be, is very positive.
So I'm a positive guy. So
you are, in all seriousness, you absolutely are positive. I was absolutely blown away by your positivity and your love and everything. And I think you're really, really genuine. And I say that because I sat in hours and hours and hours of your classes. So
I do. I was raised Catholic. I'm still a Catholic. I'm not as good a Catholic as I used to be, but there was something some saint said who said something about being the same on the inside as you are on the outside. And I was like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I do work really hard, and it causes me trouble sometimes because a lot of times people don't want to know what's going on. And you're like, well, I'm just going to tell the truth. And it's like, well, the truth can be a burden too. So in my age, I'm learning to be quiet, but I generally try to be, who I am on the inside. I
love that.
As I am on the outside.
I love that. And
makes it so easy. You just be yourself.
Yeah. And I have the utmost respect for that. What I think is also revealing is finding out some of the things, like this. We all have a favorite movie.
Yeah.
We want to know what Chuck Huber's favorite movie, and maybe that's our question. Maybe, and you don't have to pick one. But
there are. I mean, like Raiders of the Lost Ark was the first time I was in a movie theater and my brain exploded.
Okay.
Maybe I was I enjoyed Star Wars, but I was like 6.
Okay.
And so I enjoyed it in a way that I enjoyed it because my brothers enjoyed it. But I was too young. I think I was more like 10 or 11 when Raiders came out. I can't remember when it came out. And so I was old enough to get the experience, and it was scary and it was thrilling, and I'd never seen a movie like that before. So that's the first one as a kid that kind of blew my mind. As I got older, Blade Runner was probably my favorite.
Oh, wow.
And that still to this day holds up for me. It still holds up as a really, really sweet movie. I liked things like, as I started getting into film and working in film, I started, checking out some of Lawrence of Arabia. Turns out to be one of my favorite movies as well. It's, I don't know. It's just a fascinating piece of filmmaking. And as a filmmaker, I know how difficult that movie must have been to make. So it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
In that respect too. But I'd put those 3 at the top of my, and like more recent ones, Roma, really good. I like all Coen brother movies. Like, even a bad Coen, like there'll be a bad, quote unquote, bad Coen brothers movie, and it's still better than every movie that came out that year. You're like, that's not as good as their best stuff, and you're like, well, it's still an amazing movie. But most of their movies,
I'm on that same page with you for the Coen brothers. I haven't seen them all, but I consider The Big Lebowski probably one of my favorite. Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, like, if you think about what the plot of The Big Lebowski is, I mean, like, what is it? Like, the guy gets his rug peed on and he's trying to just replace it. Chaos ensues. And it's just
No Country for Old Men is just a perfect movie. Like, there's nothing missing from that movie. Blood Simple was amazing. Their early work, all of them are good. They're all. I even like Hudsucker Proxy.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. They're all good. I mean, you can't deny Fargo. Yeah. Just every single movie they make is worth watching.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I love so much that you said that, because I really relate to that. I have to say, Blade Runner, I know my name is Blade, but Blade Runner gave me nightmares. I mean, I was pretty young. It was the mannequins, when it's like, I call them mannequins. I'm probably wrong. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I literally remember having nightmares about mannequins coming to life. And I remember like going to Macy's, when I was young, and looking at the mannequins, and like, I probably shouldn't have seen it,
That's the scene with Pris, where Pris gets iced and she's got her raincoat on. Yeah. Uh-huh. She's pretending to be a mannequin, and she comes to life.
So it is a mannequin. I am remembering.
Well, she's amongst mannequins, and she's a robot, a replicant. So
that terrified me. I remember that.
That movie is not. That movie is not for children. This is a scary movie.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, whatever. they instilled you with good movies, at least. If you're gonna get scared, be scared by a good movie. Don't be scared by a bad movie.
I love that.
That's true.
Words of wisdom. So as a phenomenal actor yourself, what are some actors that you just admire? Like, who are some of Chuck Huber's favorite actors?
Well, like consistently great work or interesting work, like Gary Oldman and John Malkovich. Those were guys that I always looked up to. Mm-hmm. John Malkovich was in Chicago. I started in theater in Chicago. Gary Sinise was another one we liked, and John Mahoney, like guys we saw on stage, and then they also did movies. Like you kind of had a bead on their process, and then to see them do it in the films as well was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis, of course, everyone knows he's amazing. He's just a phenomenal actor to watch. He's just I'm not that disciplined. Like those actors, I think I could be, like, if I was given the material. Well, it doesn't matter. But the process that some of these actors have, I'm like, wow, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do your process. It's a lot of work.
I love Gary Oldman. I mean, like, Gary Oldman's one of those actors. Like, I mean, if he's in a movie, like, I'll watch it just for him. I mean, and
he and Malkovich, they're always interesting. Mm-hmm. They're always doing something. They're rarely phoning it in. They're always present.
And he's so different.
And I was gonna say, he's so different. Like, there's a couple of times I've watched a movie and I didn't even realize it was him till like at the end of the movie. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Gary Oldman. Like, he has such a big range when it comes to acting. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There was my wife had something on, I don't know if it was on Netflix. I don't know if it was a Netflix movie, but he was in it, and he was much older than I'm used to seeing him. Like, I don't know if it was makeup or this movie just came out, and it's totally slipping my mind.
Churchill?
What was it?
Was it the Churchill one? Didn't he play Churchill?
He did play Churchill. It's similar to that though. Like how I just, I thought he was covered in makeup. I think it was you know what it was? Was it a movie about he was like a writer or something, and he wrote like Citizen Kane or something at the end?
I don't know.
No,
it's not ringing a bell for me.
Anyway, he was phenomenal, of course. I mean, that probably goes without saying, but yes, Gary Oldman, phenomenal. All right, I have to ask now. We're on the topic. On Nightcap Chat, I always bring up my favorite actor because I cannot help myself. What do you think about Liam Neeson?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's a lot of fun to watch.
That's just laughing.
Yeah, he's. Oh, you don't like Liam?
Oh no, I love the guy. He played just anytime we talk about, who an actor should play this superhero, it's always just Liam Neeson. I'm just like, he can't play Magneto. He can't also play, Blade. He can't play every single person in the Marvel universe. Okay. He's like, no, he can do it. I'm like, I love the guy, but I don't know.
He is a good actor. He's a good actor.
I can't help myself. So, especially with, staying at home and stuff, we've all might have discovered a TV show, or maybe we just found something new. Is there anything you're binging right now, or something like newly discovered that you would love to share with the world, or something that you tell all your friends like, gosh, you gotta try this out?
Yeah, this is a stupid one because everybody's already seen it.
Okay.
But I did not watch it at all.
Okay.
And then I just binged, is it 6 or 8? All 8 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Oh my gosh, I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Man. Well, I tried to watch it. Like I watched the first episode, and I think the ending of the first episode made me kind of like balk at it, because I watched the first episode years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me kind of like, I was like, I don't know if I want this in my life, just because that first episode ends so roughly.
I completely agree with you.
And somebody was like, oh, my buddy, Matt Tompkins, he was like, no, man, it's the best series ever. And I was like, all right, I'll give it another shot. So I gave it another shot, and it literally possessed me for about, God, how long did it take for me to get through it? 4 weeks.
Wow.
And I was just burning I would wake up at, I'd occasionally get a little bit, it's not insomnia, just I wake up early. So sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m. and I'd like wake up at 3, and instead of getting to work, I'd be watching Game of Thrones from like 3 until 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
We're just back-to-back episodes, and then get out of bed and watch and make breakfast and lunch for the kids as they go to school. But yeah, I couldn't stop watching. It was so good. The story was so interesting. All the characters were so interesting. They were able to keep it, like, for a series to go on that long, and for them to keep it that engaging, and not like, I don't like it missed maybe once or twice with a couple jokes.
Okay.
In the 8th season, there were a couple of like things that felt character-y, homage-y, because this was the last time they were going to be. You could feel a little bit of that in the 8th season, but it was literally like 1 or 2 jokes where you're like, oh, that was the writers being writers. But other than that, every word of dialogue was it's just so interesting. It was such a good show.
It's really interesting. We had some guests from the ex-wife podcast come on, and that was the same answer they had, was they just got into Game of Thrones, and they binged it all. And I asked them, and I'm going to ask you too, did you, having watched it now, I know people were trying to avoid spoilers, at the time.
Sure,
did you feel spoiled by anything? Like, do you remember anything that was like super pertinent, or were you surprised?
Okay, so I did really good, and I'm really good about, like, I don't watch trailers when movies come, especially movies I want to see. I don't want to see the trailer. Excuse me. So I had purposely not, it wasn't in my feed. I didn't have a hashtag for it. I wasn't, no alerts about it on social media. So things would happen in the Game of Thrones universe, and I vaguely recalled something bad happening at a wedding.
Yeah.
But had totally forgotten about it when we got to that point in the series. Okay. And I was like, oh, holy shit. And I was like, that's when everyone was like freaking out on Twitter. So I would get to certain moments in the series that had resonated with everybody, and everybody was mad about it. And I'd be like, don't tell me I haven't watched it yet. But there were 2 or 3 but I still, they were surprises to me. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why everyone was super angry.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. I love that.
And the ending, like, I know if, like, had I sat with this series for a decade that everybody did instead of 4 weeks or 5 weeks, so I burned through it really quick. But I could see, if you sat with it for a decade, how there was just no way to satisfy with an ending. There was no way to do it justice and keep it real, and like, you just would want the series to continue. It was a decade of your life. Because I only put 6 weeks into it, I was okay letting it go at the end. So it didn't, the ending seemed very logical in the universe. It seemed like it really fit, really worked. Like, there was, watching it that compressed, there was really no other way it could go. Like, not and keep the integrity that I know everybody probably wanted, like, those two get married and everybody's the last battle and everyone's happy and the king and queen, but that's not the universe they set up. So
yeah, from what I understand, that definitely was not. I know, like, this person dies, that person dies. I know we only have a couple more minutes here before we have to wrap this up.
Let me see. Yeah, I got about 10 more minutes.
Okay.
Unless you guys got to go.
Oh, no, I'm flexible.
Yeah.
So I caught a couple of your Twitch streams playing Fortnite.
All right.
Still playing any Fortnite or playing any games right now?
I finished Miles Morales.
Did you?
Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yeah, that was.
Did you like it?
That was really good. Yeah. That they improved the mechanics over the first Spider-Man.
So you played that one too?
Yeah, did that whole one and then did Miles Morales.
Nice.
It was beautiful to look at, and really the story was super engaging. And then I probably play Fortnite almost at least one match every day. It's the thing I love about Fortnite and all sort of games like that. I know people like Apex Legends and some of the other ones.
Yeah.
What I like about them is that, like, for me to burn through Miles Morales, I got to have some time to sit down and dedicate to it. But with a battle royale game, you can sit down and have a full game experience in 10, 15, 20 minutes. So like, I finish my day of work, I get to play a little video game, then go help in the kitchen or whatever, and then maybe one before I go to bed. Sometimes 10,
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes on. Just depends on if I'm needed.
So as someone who plays Fortnite, because I play all the time and I stream it on Twitch, is there a place that you land? Like a favorite spot that you like, hey, I'm always going to drop into, risky reels, or I'm always going to drop into wherever?
Now, right now, there's the little island off the toilet factory that has the gold scar in it, with the guy guarding it. So I've been dropping in there and grabbing the gold scar, and then getting geared up at the toilet factory. Or I like to hit the towers and then kill the dudes with the whatever they are. I don't know what the dudes are called. The dudes guarding the towers. You get up on top of the tower. You can ping them from up there, and then if you need to blaze, you just jump through the little thing, and it sends you away. So I like doing that because I get right into a battle, pretty quick.
Okay, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, I always drop into Lazy Lake and just hope there's a lot of people there and just fight my way through. I just like instant battle, like you said.
You like the instant, yeah. I'm a strategist. I like to get. I will wait till the bus is, gonna dump me at the end, and I'll jump and I'll hang till I see where the circle is, and then I choose my spot.
Okay.
And then I do okay. I got like 80 first place. I think I got 80 wins.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have one of my claims to fame on Fortnite. I fell off of Fortnite, when a little after it first came out. But I rejoined with Lance. I have an undefeated season because I played once and we won, and that was it.
It was 2 seasons in a row too. It was like
it?
it was like season X, and then chapter 2, season 1 or whatever it was, and then you came back for a 3rd season. You ended up losing. You're like, oh, there goes the streak.
Gosh, I barely remember. I just remember having an undefeated season. So that was one of my claims to fame. 1 out of 1 is still 100%.
Still 100%.
That's about how many I played, right? God, I love that you brought up the first Spider-Man game. Especially during the initial lockdowns and stuff. Like, I had a couple of games I haven't even opened yet, so I got through Spider-Man and a couple others. Spider-Man particularly blew me away. And I don't want to say any spoilers, just in case anyone's interested in playing it. But gosh, toward the end of that, Spider-Man was one of the first games. It actually made me cry at the end. I did not see it coming, and I just started bawling.
Yeah, my daughter played it, and I texted her when she was ahead of me, and I texted her when we got to that point, and I was like, video game make dad cry. And she was like, I know.
So
I
you
know.
had the same experience. It was, it's incredible. And I think they did motion capture with their voice acting, and just the acting in the game was phenomenal. The guy who played Dr. Octopus, he was so good.
Great.
He was phenomenal. Just the acting and everything in that game was just right on. I absolutely loved it.
Yuri was he's great. And then him calling his girl Yuri the whole time in the game was weird and awesome.
Yeah. No, I absolutely loved it. I love that you played it too. So before we wrap this up, you are doing something, and I participated twice. I'm not in it this time around, but you do something called Now Voice This. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. I did Now Voice This because I wanted to quit social media because it was too much of a time suck. And then I was like, well, let me figure out a way to engage with social media and engage with the fans in a way that can be focused and finite. So that I do it. It's a voice acting contest, and we usually get about 2,500 people, 5,000 people enter.
Wow.
And it goes through rounds, and someone wins, and when they win, they get a voice acting gig somewhere. And we've done the first one. God bless Colleen Klinkenbeard. She had our first winner join her on My Hero Academia. So
nice.
The first winner got to do that. Second winner was down in Sentai Films or out in LA with Todd Habercorn. We've done, I don't think I've announced who it is this year. Another studio. Yeah, this is our 8th one. So we've had 8 grand prizes so far.
Wow.
That's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really interesting content and a lot of really good connections. And listen, if you can't compete in this industry, and that's what this is, it's competition. You gotta be able to compete. That's the name of the game. You have to be able to take that step. And I always, for the first round, we always try to make it the lowest barrier to entry. So like everybody feels they can do the first round because we want everyone to play. So it's like, what's an easy thing for the first round that everyone feels like they can do? So, and then we get, and I have people done it for 8 years now, and they're like, they'll always message me when they make it to the next level. They're like, I got to round 4, and I'm like, awesome, So people improve over the years, and they see what works and what doesn't work, and they, everybody becomes better at making stuff that's fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. With things opening back up and starting back up, are we going to see any Chuck Huber appearances at any upcoming convention? Anything you can talk about? Do you have any?
Yeah, I'm doing Anime Midwest.
Okay.
I'm doing, which is in July.
Is that Texas?
Chicago? No, in Chicago.
Okay.
And then I'm doing WeebCon in Dallas in August.
Okay.
And then I think I'm doing a signing at a comic book store on South Padre Island sometime in the summer. And then there's like 3 other ones that are, so yeah, conventions are gonna start happening again. I think I've got I got like 5 or 6 books solid so far.
Love that. Well, there you guys
I do
have.
too. It was, we were very sad to not see everyone at conventions.
Yeah, I'm sure. Any chance of coming out to Phoenix Comic-Con one year?
I've been there before. I did Phoenix Comic-Con. Yeah, I did it.
You did?
Yeah, we were there with Star Trek Continues. We did a premiere. I think it was our final.
How did I miss that?
I can't remember.
I've been going every year since like 2008, I think.
Yeah, I was there in 2015, maybe.
Wow, I blew it.
2016?
2015. Okay.
I wasn't there long. Let me put it there. I was there for the premiere and a Star Trek signing.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel better.
I can't remember. Yeah.
I met my wife at Phoenix Comic Con, and I think I proposed to her at Phoenix Comic Con in 2015. So that's pretty crazy.
That's nice. That's your home con. Well, I remember it was so hot, I felt like I was going to die.
Oh yeah.
I remember that much.
Yeah. Why they have it Memorial Day weekend is beyond me. It is a horrible time for that. It is really hot here.
Very, very warm.
And the New York one they have in like the end of October, and you're freezing outside. The line wraps around the city block twice, and you're like, why are these things happening?
Yeah. Because it's 42 degrees. That's not cold. To New Yorkers, that's not cold.
Oh, no, it's cold. No, it's cold.
But Chuck, thank you so much for doing this, for joining us and having a little chat.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure, as always.
And I guess that's it. Is there anything you want me to include in the you have like a link to like Now Voice This? You want me to plug in the description of the podcast?
Nah, you can put my email. People can always contact me through email. Fireflyworks@gmail. Yeah.
Okay.
My email's out there for everyone.
Okay.
There's two ways of dealing with it. You can either be totally open and then people get bored and then they don't bother you, or you can be totally closed and people try to get in. I went with the open route. It's easier.
Okay. I totally dig that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really sincerely appreciate you doing this for us. It was a lot of fun, especially as a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and doing the whole episode about animation to have somebody who was a part of that, really makes this episode, special, to me. So thank you.
Cool. My pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you, man. It's really a pleasure meeting you.
Thanks, Lance.
And thank you again to Chuck Huber for joining us in the Nightcap Chat virtual studio. We so much appreciate your time given to us for this anime episode. To catch more of my action, I'm Blade O'Neill on Twitter and Facebook, and Blade O'Neill VO on Instagram. I don't post much, some of my voiceover escapades. Maybe I do a video game once in a while, or post about a comic book I'm buying or whiskey I'm drinking. That's about it. Ken?
It's Ken Brown, and thanks you guys for listening. We're on Drawn to Comics, drawntocomics.com, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we are located, as you may have heard earlier in the show, at 5801 West Glendale Avenue in Glendale, Arizona, 85301. Give us a stop by, give us a call, give us a ring, give us a note, and love to hear from you guys. And thanks for loving the world of comic books, toys, action figures, and pop culture.
And you can catch me on Twitch at Tales of Lance, and Twitter, Instagram at Tales of Lance, playing random video games.
And don't forget, if you enjoy our podcast, follow Nightcap Chat on Facebook and Instagram. That's at Nightcap Chat, all one word, on Facebook and on Twitter, but we don't post on Twitter too often. And we're at Nightcap_chat on Instagram. So we appreciate you all taking the time to listen. We love you. Be safe. And we'll catch you all next week.
Have a good week.
Thank you, guys.